So a lot has happened in the past, I want to say since the last time we talked, and I'm just here to get you caught up to speed with the pause life of Patrick. So I ran for office back in 2020 last year, ran for city council in the city of Petersburg. I think we did a tremendous and phenomenal job. However, we came up short and I lost with about 114 or some odd votes to spare. But it was a great opportunity for me to leverage my activism and advocacy background to really just get into the community, learn more about the issues that were happening. But more importantly, really begin to address those kitchen table issues that the people of Petersburg deal with every single day. It was just a blessing to be able to be in that position, to be there and really meet people and engage them and learn more about them. But with that loss, I still was engaged, still very active in the city of Petersburg. Also worked on myself. I think one of the things that an election does, you have so much time that you're engaged in an issue. And for me, being so involved in the city of Petersburg created just time away from me and my family and my husband. And so 2020, really 2021, to be honest with you, because the election was November 3rd, but 2021 was about rebuilding that relationship with my husband. I also began, when COVID happened, I left my job at Delta Airlines. I was a flight attendant there for a very long time. I loved it, 5 years. Greatest time, really, of my life post-working full-time in HIV. Loved traveling, loved seeing the world, really enjoyed seeing customers and engaging with them, but meeting awesome crew members and folks along that journey. COVID-19 really exacerbated what it's like to be a flight attendant. I can go into that in a whole other video, which I look forward to doing. But, what you're seeing in the news now is very real. I was one of those flight attendants where we always had customers trying to fight, trying to argue, really trying to get at you, really trying to get under your skin, not listening, just making it very difficult. And so that was my experience as a flight attendant. But COVID exacerbated that. When COVID came out, a lot of airlines weren't prepared for COVID-19. We weren't given the proper PPE equipment early on to protect us. We were basically told realistically to not use it, that it could scare customers, because early on we didn't really know much about COVID. So I worked one of the last flights coming back from New York, and before the whole, really from London to New York, let me fix that. So I worked one of the last flights, if not the last flight, because I was on the late London that Delta operates. And that leaves pretty late in the day. And we were coming from London back to the States before borders shut down. And that was an eye-awakening experience for me. And that really got me engaged to begin the process of jumping back into public health. So I landed back working for a health department as a disease intervention specialist. Again, an experience and definitely something I want to talk about on the side, but as a disease intervention specialist, my focus was on sexually transmitted infections and HIV. And basically my job was to engage folks who were diagnosed with either of those things, STIs or HIV, or a contact or someone who potentially was exposed. And I worked to get them treated if they could be treated, on meds or in care. And most importantly, just tested to identify if they had acquired HIV or any other sexually transmitted infection. So I was doing that for about a year and some change. And I loved it. I loved engaging customers. And really, again, it's great to see some of us Black queer folk in spaces to really engage community and really be there and support us. But the thing is, that also had problems too. And I really look forward to going into that. But one of the things that really made me a part of the Great Recession was really valuing myself, valuing the fact that I do come to the table with knowledge, with education, with the ability, and just being treated like a number really does a number on you. Being treated like you aren't worthy does a lot on you. So basically, long story short, I left that job, and now I am in the great state of Minnesota, in Minneapolis, and basically I am working with HIV-related PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis. So I'm excited for that, and I'm excited to really begin that work as it relates to ensuring that folks of color folks who are marginalized or extremely vulnerable to HIV have access to PrEP, have access to that fantastic prevention tool that is extremely effective in preventing new acquisition of HIV. Some other things that happened in the past couple of months. I got my master's. I got my master's of Health Services Administration. Excited about that. It was a long time coming. Many of you may not know that, when I found out I had HIV, I sat down with one of my first mentors that I've ever had, and I came up with a plan. I came up with a set of short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. And getting my degree was a part of that. So I actually I paid my way through school at Northern Virginia Community College and got my associate's. But then right after that, immediately went into getting my bachelor's of public health. And then immediately after getting my bachelor's, I went into this graduate program to get my master's of health services administration. I graduated, I want to say in July, and that's been phenomenal. One of the things I can look back at as it relates to surprisingly, y'all, it's been 10 years since I've knowingly had been living with HIV. 10 years. And I found out World AIDS Day, December 1st, 2011. And I was this sickly, thrush on my tongue, excessive weight loss, terrible diarrhea. I had some neuropathy in my legs or my feet. I was having a difficult time mentally, and I just knew something was wrong. And I took that moment. I remember this. I think I've talked about this in my video. I really don't quite go back and watch it often, but I went back and I was watching this kind of segment on YouTube about World AIDS Day. I think Bono was on it. And that just got me motivated to say, if you don't go today to get tested, you'll be apathetic and not care for the rest of your life. And so I basically got in a vehicle, went to a couple places, and found out that I was positive. It was a terrible experience. Basically, I was told if I wasn't suicidal, I needed to leave. Coincidentally, that was also a disease intervention specialist that worked for under the county or the state who diagnosed me, and I ended up working with them later on in public health down the road. So that was an interesting kind of full circle moment. But when I fast forward 10 years, I can say that I've had a fantastic ride working in and around HIV, from being around amazing individuals who continue to work to this day, being in spaces and at the table as it relates to important discussions that were being had, things like that. But that's been a great experience. Those kind of moments that are full circle, now seeing injectables happening and being around that, and also looking at injectable PrEP coming down the pipeway. I just am blessed to be in a space where I have continuously feel like I've done great work, and I feel like that work has been well received. And if not, guess what? To them their own. I just feel like I have done the work that I felt like has been important, but I've also tried my best to represent y'all to the best of my ability, because we're all a family. I feel like regardless if you're black, white, queer, trans, non-binary, cisgender, straight, gay, bi, what have you, we're still a family, and we're all connected, and HIV impacts us all. And I hope that even throughout my journey, I have learned, because there have been some learning curves, and I have opened up my mind, but more importantly, I have been effective in being able to give you something. Early on when I started this process of the Pause Life, one of the things I have to give credit to are folks like Ken Like Barbie, who really opened up the space for representation, right? Representation and conversation surrounding HIV. And that got me into the space of wanting to do something as well, because I feel like even to this day, we lack really a consistent conversation or consistent space for Black queer folk to really talk about their experiences with HIV. And I'm talking about just on YouTube, on a social media aspect. From a social media aspect, we lack that. We don't have that. And so I really look forward to bringing that back. Many of you probably want to know why I'm here, why I am engaging you, why I am just randomly back. And, and I think that I always am reminded, I don't want to cry. Um, I feel like sometimes life is sobering. Life is so sobering at times, and it can and will place you in situations where you truly forget some of the most important aspects of all that helped to define you and mold and ultimately prepare you for life. A couple of weeks ago, I lost my twin sister. I lost her in a car accident. I got a call late at night that she was gone. I'm still trying to navigate, you know, losing a loved one. Um, and it's a great kind of analogy that my coworker told me was like grief is like a little box within a box, and your life is that ball hitting that bigger portion of the box that continues to press that little box that's like a button. And I have really great days. I've had great days, and there's just some days that are crap. They are crap, and you're caught remembering shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Like, should I have taken a selfie with my sister when I was with her last? Which I didn't. Should I have engaged in more loving conversation? Which I didn't. But I think that the most important thing that I've realized is that with one blink of an eye, with one kind of turn, you are caught in this kind of hyperspeed moment where you blink or move and 5 to 10 years have gone by. A moment has gone by so fast, and you're caught holding on to your dreams of the past. After you, I don't know. I mean, I feel like after going through so much turbulence and just feeling down, I had to kind of revisit my roots in my past. And I did a lot of watching my newly diagnosed videos and some of my early on content. And I felt back at home. I felt comfortable. I felt safe. And I remember making a commitment and a promise that I would be at the forefront. As long as I had breath in my lungs, I would be at the forefront of really trying to address HIV, really trying to create equity among folks living with HIV, especially Black queer folk who were like me. And that basically means that I'm back. I made a lot of excuses before. Oh, I'm coming back, and I'd make a video and say I'm coming back, and then life would hit, and I would prioritize those outside influences more. But I'm back, and one of the things I really want to ensure going forward is that I can really have some discussions about things that are important to you. Those very important kitchen table issues that you may face every single day, or someone that you love or may know face every single day. That could be as it relates to HIV. It could be political. It could be based off of your identification within the LGBTQIA plus community. But it's still a very important issue that we don't necessarily have every single time. When I started this journey, the pause life journey, I feel like I was a perfectionist, someone that always drove perfection. And that didn't necessarily always that wasn't always projected well. I hurt folks and burnt bridges along the way. I burnt out myself. Um, and some have been able to be reconciled, some of those severed relationships, while others, I just chalk it up for what it is. I've also had to learn my own value and my own space and my own brand. But more importantly, I've had to walk away knowing that I am human. And humanity is about imperfection, that is. We are imperfect beings. And my faith tells me that we are all deserving of forgiveness and love. I project that to others more than ever now. And I hope that I could receive it, even from some of you that I may have hurt along the way. But I hope to bring back, with this new pause life of Patrick, with this new experience, perspectives about something that just happened to me this year, being diagnosed with Pural keratosis, being diagnosed with that and that experience of learning more about that. On top of everything else I've been diagnosed with, malarial meningitis, HIV, and what have you. But also talking about some of my deepest feelings regarding some of the greatest loss I've experienced this year. Diving more into that, talking about it. I look forward to talk about my marriage and my serial discordant relationship with my negative spouse and my journey to remain undetectable. I look forward to talking about things that I've been doing to stay busy and that I will do to stay busy. My adjustment to Minnesota as we just dealt with some severe cold and snow that took place over the region this past week. But I really hope that I can talk to you about my experiences as a flight attendant, being positive and navigating going across time zones and being adherent to my medication. Because at the end of the day, the pause life gave me so much. Being able to speak with you was so therapeutic. But more importantly, it provided me a space to really, visually journal my life. And that was so powerful to me. It was so meaningful to me. And I look forward to doing that again. Sometimes I sit and I think about, what if I would have really stayed in HIV full time? I never would have left working in public health for a while to go to Delta and fly for a while. What would that have meant for me? And I can't give you a shoulda, coulda, woulda example or kind of a solution or answer to that, because I feel like in life we go through things that evolve us and make us who we are. I needed to travel. I needed to see the world. I needed to go abroad and see other non-governmental organizations and nonprofits that were doing great work in HIV, and meeting along my journey folks living with HIV across the globe. I needed that. I needed those little special one-on-one meetings with folks to learn more and to gain more knowledge, but more importantly, to get the experience of folks more. I needed to be able to travel and learn about people's individuals' experiences navigating HIV, navigating relationships, navigating stigma, navigating, telling a loved one that they were positive. How did that go for a person living in England versus a person living in Nigeria? What was that like? I'm just happy to be back in this space with you, and I feel so safe. And I feel so thankful that many of my 8,000 subscribers are still here, just kind of waiting in the wings for something. It means so much. So, if you have content ideas, send it my way. I would love to talk about some stuff. If you have something that you want me to come on live to talk to you about, or if you want to come on live with me, let's do it. I'm back for you. Just as much as me, I'm back for you. For that newly diagnosed person with HIV wondering, where's another Black gay man living with HIV to tell me that it's going to be all right, or tell me that it may be shit, it may be a rough road, it may be difficult, but we will get there. We will see you at the end of the finish line. Adhere to medication, focus on your mental health, moving forward toward the goal of being undetectable, because the science doesn't lie. U equals U, undetectable means untransmittable. That's such a powerful statement. I'm back. I look so forward to engaging with you. So send your ideas for content, send your ideas for conversation pieces or video pieces, and let's get cracking. Let's get moving on the next chapter, the next phase of Pause Life of Patrick. Let's get back to it. I'm back to my roots, and more than ever am I ready to get into a space to get talking about those very, very critical issues that we continue to face. It is 2021, y'all, and we are still dealing with folks being diagnosed with HIV, which is okay, because the great thing is we're catching them, we're getting these folks in the care and getting them the things and the help and the support that they need. But more importantly, how can we move forward to have a generation that doesn't even need to focus on HIV anymore, that we don't see but a handful of new diagnoses a year? How do we get there? We get there together, and by having these very critical and important conversations. I'm back. And I look forward to chatting with y'all soon. Love you all so much. From the bottom of my heart, I really do. This has been a tremendous year. There's been highs that have plateaued at the almost as high, in my heart, as high as Mount Everest and Mount Kilimanjaro. But there have also been some very low moments that have challenged my faith and in God and humanity, but more importantly, faith in myself. I just hope I can do you all justice. I hope I can do great work and make you laugh and smile and kiki and talk about me and share, but I really hope that I can bring something meaningful to you. Again, excited to be back, and I truly look forward to giving you more content going forward. Have a lot in store for you. Send your ideas, send your thoughts, reach out in the comments below. But more importantly, please, if you haven't yet and you hadn't taken a moment, go ahead and subscribe. Press the ding button or the bell button. Wow, ding. Press the bell for notifications and stay tuned for some great content that we have coming up. I look forward to engaging with you more. As always, positivity is everything. Take care.